Well, on that bleak note, hey Adrian, Renest.
Who?
No Ernest watching today, but maybe at some point. My friend Adrian, she joined in.
Oh yeah.
She's a big fan of Ernest P. Worrell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Ernest Goes to Camp back in the day. That was
a classic.
That was the one
That
I
was
watched.
a classic. I liked. I watched that. I watched Ernest Scared Stupid. Ernest Saves Christmas, and
I only saw the Ernest Goes to Camp, but I watched that like 100 times.
And I watched Ernest Goes to Jail. So I'm steeped in the Ernest cinematic universe.
Nice.
No Ernest today because we're depressing ourselves with our soon-to-be bleak dystopian future. Speaking of which, I just made myself aware of this earlier, so I want to see what this is all about.
Using Zilch is super simple. First, search for the store you
Oh
want
my
to
god,
shop
this is
at.
the most Australian person in the
Like
world.
others, we let you know exactly what you have to spend beforehand. Then, simply select Go to Store and check out using your Zilch card details. You pay the first 25% up front, and we'll split the rest over 6 weeks. Zero interest, zero hidden fees, zero surprises.
That's actually cool if you have the money.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that,
Like, I buy shit no interest from Best Buy.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's almost like it's free. I don't know why it feels that way, but there's a temporal value to money. I always said that. I was like, $20, like, $20 today, you know what I mean? Feels like more money than $100 over 7 months. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
wait, what? $20 today?
you know, if you, my point is that it's like the time affects your value of money. You know what I mean? People perceive like more like money has a temporal value beyond its face value. You know, it's hard to explain, but like, so I bought an iPad, my iPad Pro that I bought from Best Buy.
Okay.
And
OMG, Ernest Cinematic Universe, but that makes sense. You can always watch Ernest when you decompress. That is what I do every single night. You watch Ernest every night? That's some serious decompressing.
That's a lot of Ernest, man.
Anyways, continue.
The importance of watching Ernest.
The importance of watching Ernest.
It's just like, you know, if someone's like, hey man, tell you what, I'll give you $100 right now. Or I'll give you $160 6 months. Like, take the $100 right now. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I mean, yes, you could make there's something about money now. It's like having to spend a bunch of money now is a drag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But having to spend smaller amounts of money over us periods of time, it's not that big. It's not as big of a deal. Like, I bought an iPad. I paid for it. I don't think I even paid it down. I was like, yeah, okay. They gave me an iPad. I was like, I've got 36 months. My car, I have like 36 months no interest over there. If I, you know, and the thing is they get you if you miss a payment.
Yeah.
You know, or if you fuck up. The thing is though, if you go home and you get online and you put auto pay on, you know, you never miss a payment. So you just do the math. You're like, well, I got 36 months, but if I paid this off in 35 or 30, give me a few months to fuck up. You know, get it someone to not add up. I'm gonna say 33 months. You know, how divide this by 33? Like, okay, well, shit, I can have this iPad for, you know, $52 a month. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
$52 a month, that's not big of a deal. I'll fucking put it in my thing, and I won't even know that it comes out of my account. You know, and so you program it in, you go on living your life with your iPad, and it's kind of like they just gave you an iPad for free.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that ability, there are a lot of people who would definitely recognize 50 some odd bucks coming out of their account on a monthly basis.
Yeah, like I said, if you have the money, it's cool. If it's not, I would say that if you don't have the money, like you can't fuck up. You know
No,
what I'm
you
saying?
can't.
Like what I mean is that if you've got the money to the point where even if you missed a payment and they were like, now you owe us the whole thing, you'd be like, okay, here's a fucking check, fuck off. You know what I mean? You're good. You can't fuck up. It's impossible for you to fuck up. You know what I mean? But if you don't have the money, or if it's going to be tight at all, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it. You know, because you'll end up fucked.
So Adrian says, actually, to slightly speak on a topic that isn't Rentist, I use Klarna to pay for expensive plans on Etsy, where you pay every 2 weeks, every paycheck, to split up the cost over 4 paychecks. But honestly, that $20 still feels like a lot every paycheck. Because if you can't afford a $100 plan up front, you can't really afford a $20 every paycheck. It's a trap. I'm still poor either way. Yeah, that's kind of the sense that I got too, where it's like, if you have the money to take advantage of it the way that you're talking about it, you probably aren't gonna do that. Like, it's different if you go to Best Buy.
It's psychological.
It's a little psychological.
It just like, it doesn't feel like I'm making a major purchase if I'm paying $30 a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Even if I am, even if it's over 2 years. You know what I mean?
Adrian, you use Klarna though, so I guess like it has some benefit for you if it allows you to buy it $100 plan. But like to your point, like you can't fuck up. I would imagine, like you can't.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that like the trick is understanding that they want you to fuck up, and being like, I'm gonna make it so that it's beyond like I just go program it out. I go and I just say like auto draw $80 or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And you just auto draw until it's gone. You know? And now I got in trouble like that because fucking Best Buy auto drew a bunch of shit out of my account that like they actually had a class action lawsuit, but I never got my money back. But they stole $1,300 from me.
What?
Yeah, they auto drew $1,300 based on some fucking bullshit that didn't make any sense. I was like, dude, this has been paid for fucking years. What the fuck? And they were just like...
See, that's exactly why people are very skeptical about that auto draw.
No, we don't know. You know what I mean? So they got me that one time, and that was a major bummer.
Did they ever get you your money back? Oh, dude, that's $1,300. It's nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. But you know, what are you gonna do? I mean, I don't remember the details. Honestly, I kind of blocked it out. I was just like pissed off, and it's basically one of those deals they just fucking had. They just fucking had me. But it's worked out really well several times. You know, like I bought a washer and dryer like that. Really expensive washer and dryer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We bought like that, and it just seemed like it was free. You know what I mean? Because it's like I wasn't like, there have been times where in my life where I mean like fucking my bank account was like, if your bank account is within $100 of being overdrawn, this shit is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you've got $5,000 in your account, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can program. You can do a $30 or $80 a month pull from your account if you've got a buffer of $5,000. But if you've got anything lower, I would say anything lower than $1,000, then that shit's not for you. But basically, all it does,
like the major appliances and stuff like that.
For just any I mean my point is that like it's basically just like, I really want an iPad Pro, but I really don't want to spend $800, but I could spend $50 for 20 months. You know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. You know. And
come across.
Let's see what this guy's thoughts on this
like
are.
Afterpay, Klarna, QuadPay, Sezzle, PayBright.
I guess that's what Adrian uses.
Because they seem to be everywhere when you are shopping online. In this video, we're going to take a look at what buy now, pay later companies are, what exactly they offer, namely very short-term 0% interest loans, how they make money doing this, and a number of reasons why you may want to avoid them. Collectively, these companies are known as Buy Now, Pay Later companies, or BNPL for short. Now,
God damn you, Gen Z millennials. Can you not just fucking come up with a word for it?
Short term.
BNPL.
Providers who offer longer term
TLDR.
Some with 0% interest, but a smorgasbord of other fees that effectively amount to a hefty cost of borrowing, and others with clearly spelled out interest rates.
20%?
One of the
Damn.
more popular Buy Now, Pay Later offers is when you get to an online checkout, and instead of seeing a total cost of $100 for whatever
Now this I never do.
you're offered the option of making 4 payments of $25.
Oh, you know what?
Zero interest.
You know what? I did this once with Amazon for my computer that I built, actually.
Really? Did it work out?
It's ongoing. But like you,
It'll work out.
I have it on auto draw, so
It'll work out.
It's gonna work out.
The problem is they get people that can't, that it's dicey and it's an emotional buy, and they get it and they get into trouble.
It's
and they end up paying more than they would have paid if they just bought it outright.
Well, if there's interest involved.
Yeah,
like,
but you can if you fuck up. If you miss a payment, or if your shit is overdrawn when they go to draw it or something like that, they'll hit you with all of it and all the interest.
All kinds of fees and whatnot. Yeah, this was a situation where I was just like I could have paid it all up front if I wanted to, but like it's
didn't
the
want
sticker
to.
shock.
Exactly, that's my point.
Shock,
it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, like
it's like it only works if you've got the money. If you can buy it outright, it works fine. If you cannot buy it outright, then it's a big fucking problem and you shouldn't do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Unless you're just like very capable of making those payments,
I would say even then.
But even then,
Now, these buy now, pay later companies are separate from the retailer that you're shopping at. So the first question is, how do these buy now, pay later companies make money if they're offering 0% interest loans? Well, the business model is actually nothing new. In fact, it's hundreds of years old. You can Google factoring accounts receivable to learn more, but you should just know that it's been modernized for the e-commerce world, and here's how it works. When you want to buy something for, say, $100 from an online retailer, they might offer you the option of paying for it over 4 payments of $25. But the buy now, pay later company buys that $100 payment for maybe $94. So the retailer takes a 6% haircut in this case, and they're done. They are no longer a part of the transaction. But we'll come back to that later. From your perspective, you bought a $100 item, and if you make all 4 payments of $25 on time, you've paid no interest. But from the buy now, pay later company's perspective, they've given out a loan of $94, and they're expected to get that back plus $6 in interest over 6 weeks. Why 6 weeks, you asked? Well, you might pay $25 at the time of transaction, leaving you with 3 more biweekly payments, so a total borrowing period of 6 weeks. Now, to convert this to an annual percentage rate, we take $6, we divide that into the principal of $94, which gives us 0.0638. We then multiply this by 365 days in a year, and then divide by the length of the loan, which in this case is 42 days. This gives us 0.5547, and we multiply that by 100 to convert into a percentage, and we get an APR of 55.47%. Not a bad rate of interest to be earning for the buy now, pay later company. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, what do I care if I'm only paying $100 for something that was listed for sale at $100? And yes, it looks quite harmless for everyone involved so far. Okay, so let's now go back to the retailer, and remember, they took a 6% haircut. And some people would argue that, that's just another cost of doing business. After all, companies that make buy now, pay later available do report increased shopping cart conversions. A conversion is when someone who has added something to their cart online then successfully completes the transaction instead of abandoning the cart. So a conversion is when someone actually buys what they put in their cart. They also report higher sales, higher AOVs, average order values, and so on. So
Adrian says, I will say they do have a credit line without interest for larger purchases that you don't have to submit a hard credit inquiry to be approved for, of which can lower your credit score potentially if you're denied, but they don't submit any on-time payments to your credit reports. That's
yeah.
Man, I was raging about the credit shit earlier today, because I realized. Hold on, let me do here. So it's credit that does absolutely nothing for you in the long run. Honestly, just to get a damn credit card. Exactly. So I realized earlier today, I was looking at my accounts and I was like, if I really wanted to, I could just take a big chunk of money from my savings and just pay off the rest of my car loan. If I really wanted to. And I thought about it, I was like, this is the first car that I've had where I was able to just consistently make payments on time without having the worry of repossession or getting evicted from it, all that sort of stuff. I've been financially stable long enough to where I've had this car for several years and just, hit those payments on time all the time, no worries. And I was like, I wonder what this is doing for my credit. I don't think it's really affected it. So I looked it up online. And it turns out that paying off your car loan does nothing for your credit. Your credit...
Paying it off doesn't.
Well, paying it off doesn't, or paying in general.
Making payments does.
Making payments only adds to your credit history. It doesn't actually do anything to boost. So, like, if you don't have any credit history, you need something to just get some credit history. But it doesn't actually affect your score.
Yeah, but if you miss some payments, it'll affect you.
Yeah, exactly. If you miss payments, it'll hurt you negatively if you miss payments. But if you make them on time all the time, it doesn't help your credit.
A lot of credit is having credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, having available credit makes your score go up. You know what I mean? Making your payments on time, and having a long credit history of payments on time, it all adds up after a while. You're talking to someone
it adds up less.
Way less. That had the worst credit ever. Now I have quite great credit. And it basically was just a series of like just making payments on time. I got like a shitty credit card, you know what I mean? And didn't really use it for much stuff, but then like made payments on time, made student loan payments, and just developed things. And the thing about credit is what they don't say is credit is extremely weighed towards the present. Because the problem is most people they got like problems. You know, almost everybody has some problems. 7 years. I said 7 years, but it's not. It's way more. If your shit's tight recently, you can really do a lot of good for your credit. I mean, like, for a long time, for years, I didn't pay my student loans at all.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I was just like, fuck off.
Me
I don't
either.
care. You know what I mean? And eventually, they tried to garnish my wages. When I finally got a job where I got a paycheck, they were like, oh, we're going to take this paycheck. And I was like, okay, let's work something out. You got me. But since then, that was.
Well, and then in fairness, your student loans don't really affect either way. They don't really affect your credit score that much, north or south.
They don't play a huge role, but they do.
They do, but not super substantial.
I've applied for a home loan, and student loans have been an issue.
Really?
Yeah. It affects it, but it's not. You know, again, it's all about time.
Yeah.
Like, this was in 2011 when I was dealing with this, and it was like one deal where you can get some like I think I can't remember what the story was, but it was like I couldn't get the interest rate I wanted or something like that because this was shit. But I had been paying my student loan for at that point I had on a payment plan since the last 3 years.
Oh yeah, you told me the story.
Yeah, it was an issue, but it just knocked up my fucking the rate that I want. Rate that I want. However, I don't think we ended up working it out. But now that's fucking years and years. It seemed like not that long ago, but that shit that we bought that house in 2011, years ago. You know what I mean? And that at the time the student loan shit had only gotten worked out in 2008, so it was So it's a lot of it's about time. But credit cards are rough. I would say that if you're not going to pay your credit card off every single month, I wouldn't get one at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say these things are better than credit cards if you're not going to pay your credit card.
Right.
These are all good things for the retailer. However, let's take a deeper look. There are essentially 4 main ways that a retailer can accept payments: cash, debit, credit, and now buy now, pay later. And these 4 different modes of payment have different costs. Accepting cash and debit are effectively the same. A debit card transaction has a fairly low transaction cost that the debit network providers charge. And if you were physically in a store and could pay cash, there still are costs associated with accepting cash for a merchant. Now, you might think that it's free for the business to accept cash, but there are some costs, such as the labor required to count the tills at the end of shifts, and the cost of counterfeit bills being used, for example. So if you're a business owner and you accept a $100 bill and it's counterfeit, when you go to your bank to deposit the funds, they're going to say, oh, this isn't $100, it's $0 because it's fake, it's not money. And so that effectively becomes a cost. In any case, cash and debit are both overall relatively low-cost ways to accept payments, but not free. Let's just call it 0.5% of the transaction value on average for demonstrative purposes. But accepting a credit card can be quite expensive. It might average 2 to 3%, and sometimes more of a transaction's value. And part of the reason for that are all those credit card
747s.
In fact,
Gotta
the
go, make
fancier
late
the
dinner,
reward
but I just
program
wanted
attached
to
your
catch a
credit
moment of you
card
live.
is,
Love you, girl.
the higher the
Sorry,
fees that
Shandy.
the merchants
Bye,
pay
Adrian. Thanks for dropping by.
form of payment.
Have fun
Now,
with your
here's
dinner.
where it gets even more interesting. Depending on what country you live in, merchants may not be allowed to charge a surcharge on transactions where it costs them more money to accept your payment, namely credit cards. That means the item they sell can't be marked up, even though accepting your credit card might cost them a lot more than accepting cash or debit. And what this means is that lower income households might be subsidizing the rewards programs of higher wealth households. Now,
Not a surprise.
that's not an angle most people are aware of, but let's explain why this is true. In order to make a profit as a business, your revenues have to exceed your costs. And if your costs go up, merchants can and often will increase prices. And if more and more people
Unless you're an
use
internet
credit
company.
cards with
Yes,
rich
you don't have to
rewards
make debt.
programs, that increases the costs for a merchant, and they may increase prices for everyone, even the people paying with cash or debit or no frills credit cards that incur lower costs for the merchant. So, because everyone is paying the same price for the item, but only some people are getting the premium credit card reward points, the ones that tend to only be available to people with higher incomes, that means the wealthy are getting subsidized. Now, a side note, sometimes you'll see stores with a little sign that says something like 2% cash discount. And that's because they may be allowed to offer a discount on a price for cash, but they may not be allowed to offer a surcharge on a credit card transaction because that might violate their merchant agreements with the companies that provide the payment infrastructure. This is actually a really big issue around the world. In Canada, there was a competition tribunal that examined the issue of companies like Visa and MasterCard and their power to force merchants to accept cards with higher fees, like premium reward cards. I'll include some links with details on that in the video description if you want to learn more. But a simple way to find out more is, the next time you're in a local business, ask the owner if there are any particular credit cards they don't like accepting. And I'm willing to bet they'll have a list of cards they can rattle off at the top of their head that they are loath to accept, but have to. So, if cash and debit transactions have low costs for merchants, again, using 0.5% as a number, but it might actually even be lower than that. And if credit cards can be 2 to 3%, what impact does a buy now, pay later option add to the mix? Remember, if a buy now, pay later option costs maybe 6%, and that's not abnormal, would that increase prices? It's quite possible. Now, offsetting that is the higher sales volumes, which can help alleviate some of the pressure. But with razor-thin profit margins, it's fairly easy to see how the high costs could translate into higher prices for everyone. Now, beyond that, while some buy now, pay later companies are also starting to offer rewards to users, the more mature credit card reward programs may offer better rewards to you. So if you could pay off your entire purchase using your credit card and getting the points and maybe extended warranty coverage, etc., might be more attractive. And not that I'm advocating carrying balances on credit cards, but mathematically, if you were to pay off a credit card purchase over 2 months, your actual interest charge might be relatively low, and you might be getting that extended warranty coverage. So let's just do a super quick example. If we bought that $100 item and our credit card's APR is 25%, then when we calculate the daily interest rate, which is 25% or 0.25, divided by 365, which gives us 0.0006849, if we paid off our $100 balance in 6 weeks, that's 42 days, and our average daily balance will essentially be $50 during that time, then to calculate the amount of interest that we would have paid, we multiply 0.0006849 times 42 days times $50, and we get a whopping $1.44 in interest. Now, like I said, that's a quick and dirty calculation, but it's going to be pretty close. If that $1.44 gets you the added warranty and other coverage that you get with credit card purchases, that might seem like a better option, especially if you feel you might be at risk of not making your buy now, pay later payment obligations.
That's the problem.
Because if you do,
you can't feel like that at all.
In most cases. Now, to be clear, because buy now, pay later tends to be offered through merchants.
I want to see what this guy's
discretionary items.
He hasn't talked about what happens if you miss a payment.
Maybe you try the old school Save now, pay later method, and only
Save
make those
now.
purchases if you don't have the money already. Then use your debit card or use a credit card for the purchase and pay it off right away. Now, if you need to finance a purchase for a purely discretionary item, whether it be through a buy now, pay later provider or carrying even a small balance on your credit card, that's something that you want to avoid if you can. Obviously, there are some extreme situations where that might not be possible for people, but there are certainly a lot of consumers who are buying things they don't need using borrowed funds. Now, all of what we've talked about so far assumes you don't miss payments.
Here we go.
If you miss any buy now, pay later payments, then the late fees, when converted into an APR, might even make your credit card blush. And just to put it all into perspective, the delinquency rate for all consumer loans in the US has been hovering around 2 to 3%, according to the Federal Reserve. But according to the Australian Securities and Investments Commission in Australia, which seems to be the hotbed of buy now, pay later companies,
Like the one we just
in
watched.
the most recent 12-month period they looked at, 21% of buy now, pay later users missed.
See, that's where they make their money.
Yeah, that's pretty colossal, man. 21%.
Yeah, you just can't miss the payment.
Yeah, I mean, clearly these things are targeting people that are
Yeah.
gonna miss the
Well,
payments.
they're banking on people's inability to pay.
Yeah.
End of the day, all that shit.
Missed at least one payment.
I mean, the thing is
Further-
that if you've got the money, buy it. You know?
Yeah.
The only reason you wouldn't buy it is for some reason you're just like, I don't know. I like looking at my account and seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
it's an emotional thing.
Being frugal, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to
It's like, I want
drop 15 grand all at once.
Well,
Yeah.
15 grand, yeah, is a lot. You know, it's one of those things. It doesn't change anything, really.
Yeah.
You know? If I had just written a check for any of that crap right off the bat, you know what I mean, it would have been the same at the end of the day. And the thing, and that's the big difference. If you miss, in some ways, you're just opening yourself up to risk, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you risk that something will fuck up somewhere, some snafu will happen, and they'll evaporate your money. But at the same time, the idea, feeling like you've got what you need, yet you don't really notice the, 'cause that's the thing. It's like, when you get a bunch of various things come on your account. Like I have a bunch of stuff that pulls. You know what I mean, I don't write checks. I don't really pay bills like that so much. I pay like a lot of my bills just come right out of my account. So if I like have another $50 or $30 come out somewhere, I'm not gonna really notice it. I'm not following it that closely. But I can that only works if you've got a buffer in there where you're not going to be overdrawn.
Yeah.
If you are anywhere near being overdrawn, this shit will fucking destroy you. You know what I mean? Because it won't be just this. You know what I mean? You'll make a payment, or you'll miss a payment, and they'll want a bunch of money, and then that might cause you to be overdrawn and some other shit, and then before you know it, you owe the bank $400. I've been there. I've looked at my account, and it's like negative $400. You know what I mean? And so, there's a risk implied with this shit.
The missed payment fees as a percentage of fees coming from the consumer is about 44%. So missed payments are big business for many buy now, pay later.
They're counting on it.
And beyond all that, if you come to an online checkout and you're trying to think about the merchant and the cost that they incur, if it makes no difference to you, the preference is debit, then credit, then buy now, pay later in terms of the least cost to the most cost for the merchant. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel for more content about all.
All right. That was a pretty informative video.
Yeah, that's good.
I like his setup back here.
Yeah, it looks like he's really got his shit together, doesn't he?
It's a green screen. He's actually in like a little shack because he had missed too many buy now, pay later payments.
Shit. He's like, I bought all this shit on buy now,
Yeah,
pay
exactly.
later.
This is a photo of what I used to own. All right, let's get into the shield. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe. You'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate. And if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So please and thank you.